What's up, YouTube? It's time for a review of the new Firewind record, Immortals, out this past Friday, January 20th. Firewind, without question, one of the most prominent power metal bands of the past decade and a half. The brainchild of Greek shredder extraordinaire Gus G, whose flashy 80s worshipping lead playing quickly impressed the guitar nerd community and drew me in as a listener on early records like Burning Earth and Allegiance. I actually, before this channel was like a serious thing and it was just me uploading like fun guitar covers, I actually covered the Firewind guitar solo, I Am the Anger, if you want to check that out over here. Of course, Gus G's terrific old school playing would eventually land him the ultimate gig in Ozzy Osbourne's solo band, but despite that high profile and probably lucrative gig, Firewind have still put out a couple records since he joined in 2009. Both of which I did skip over, because around the time Days of Defiance came out in 2010, which at that time it was Firewind's 6th album, I had just started to fall out of favor with the genre of power metal as a whole. To me, it had just started to feel real repetitive and derivative too, in the sense that Priest, Maiden, and Halloween had already done everything that these bands were doing. But of course, anyone who knows me or has seen my video on Angra knows that I'm a huge fan of the genre, but I just haven't checked out a Firewind record in now 9 years. But lately I've been craving this sound again, and I've been craving a record that delivers quintessential power metal without too many bells and whistles. So I leapt at the chance to check this record out, even though I didn't necessarily expect too much. And fuck me if I didn't get exactly what I was looking for. This is an outstanding, no frills power metal record. It is anthemic, it is powerful, it has a grand sound at times without ever getting too pompous or too overblown. It just has a lot to offer, not just fans of power metal, but anybody who bows at the altar of traditional heavy metal. Lyrically, it's actually a concept record, which may or may not matter depending on what type of listener you are. For me personally, it matters to me on some songs here where I can really see the concept shine through, and it doesn't really matter on others. But yeah, Immortals is a historical concept record based on two battles that took place during the Second Persian invasion of Greece, which took place in 480 BC. Of course, depending on how nerdy you are, you may or may not recognize the name Leonidas from the title of track 3 here, Ode to Leonidas. And yes, that is the same Leonidas from the movie 300, which is based on the same thing this album is based on. In the case of 300, it's based on the Battle of Thermopylae, hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is one of the two battles that this album revolves around. What's crazy about this album is it obviously has every chance to be cheesy, whether it's the well-worn lyrical themes of valor and honor in battle, or it's, the incorporation of keyboards and extravagant lead vocals that power metal is known for. But it never is for me. It's just sick. Like with a song like Live and Die by the Sword, after that extended acoustic intro, when the electric guitars come in and the crowd is chanting behind the riff, like on paper, that sounds like something I should be cringing at, but it's fucking epic. Or the spoken word intro to Ode to Leonidas, which is basically like a speech before battle. Again, something that could be nauseating, but it's just awesome. To you, thy enemy of this land, I say come and take it. Like, damn, that is sick. That's just a sick way to kick off a song. And of course, Gus G and company hit us over the head with tons of classic metal riffage, whether it's taking cues from late 80s speed metal like on We Defy, or in the case of the song Back on the Throne, that main riff, which may feel like a lazy comparison given Gus G's other job, but the main riff in Back on the Throne is pure No Rest for the Wicked era Zakk Wylde. That is one of my favorite riffs on the record. And as usual, Gus G's lead playing is just such a pleasure to listen to on every damn track. It really does elevate my enjoyment of this record significantly. A song like Wars of Ages features a beautifully sugary harmonized solo that then segues into just a fucking blazing main solo. If there are any guitar nerds out there watching this, I'm going to highlight the last two bars of this solo where Gus G plays a purely chromatic ascending run into these wild, diminished arpeggios that kind of cap the solo off. And just for me as a player, I think that chromatic and diminished runs are just a match made in heaven, and to hear him really fuse them well was really rewarding as a listener. And, I mean, for any Nevermore fans out there, I'm sure the great Jeff Loomis would agree. I also think it's really cool how on the song Warriors and Saints, vocalist Henning Bassi delivers the chorus over a repetitious shred lick, and I think that's just a really nice touch. And I also got to shout out the solo to Back on the Throne, which finds Gus soloing over a guitar riff that's harmonized in the background. So it just creates this impossibly full and rich sound with 3, probably 4 guitars going at the same time. And you know, I mentioned Henning's vocals. All over this album, they are powerful. No matter what note he's reaching for, his vocals never veer into wimpy territory like some power metal can. Now, the unquestionable standout in this department is the chorus to Wars of Ages. Oof. But there's great singing all over this damn record. Immortals is just 10 awesome songs delivered in a thoughtful sequence. They even managed to work in an instrumental with the title track, which might be my favorite song on the record, because that double picking riff is just so fucking mean. And then when the keyboards emerge over it, which for some reason sort of reminded me of that first Emperor record, and then the China cymbal kicks in, it's just a killer couple minutes. And the band pull off a textbook ballad too, with Lady of a Thousand Sorrows. From the sweeping chorus to the arpeggiated clean guitars in the verses, to the massive harmonized solo, to the variation on the last chorus, to that classical guitar section at the end to kind of bring everything down. They just execute that shit to a T. I fucking love this record. I didn't expect to, but I do. I suppose you could try and criticize it and point to genericism, but to me you'd be a bit off base, because I only start to notice a record as generic in the derogatory sense when it's clearly a lesser version of what everyone else is doing. And that's just not the case here. This album rips. And if you're one of those metalheads who thinks that power metal is gay, then you'll probably think that this album is gay. In which case, crawl back to your black metal cave. Which, by the way, black metal is just as fucking dorky. I mean, Burzum's name is taken from the Lord of the Rings. So, I don't know. Anyway, this is an early 2017 favorite for me. I love this record. And what's funny is, for all I know, the last couple Firewind albums could have been sick all along. I just stopped listening for the last 7 years. So, diehard Firewind fans, feel free to sound off in the comment section and put me in my place. Immortals gets an 8 out of 10 from me. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, or shoot me a message so we can continue to talk music. And I'll see you guys soon.